Today I want to talk about pets, specifically the culture around them. I'm genuinely curious as to why people own them. And by pets, I'm talking about, an animal that you keep within your domicile. I'm not talking about, let's say, if you're out in the country and you have a dog as your, sort of early warning system or to help, herd the livestock, or if you have a cat also out in the country to help, catch the vermin or whatever else, or any specific animal that you have for a purpose, or I should say a working purpose. Out in the country, it's different. I'm more so talking about people who own animals in the city, and pets can be, something like dogs, cats are the most common, some fish, birds, reptiles. I really don't understand that one. And rabbits, also I don't. Some people keep other rodents like mice and rats. I also don't understand why. And it's something that's been sort of gnawing at my brain. So I'm making this video just to sort of offer my thoughts on the culture of it, and just to really help to sort of try to come to a conclusion as to why people own them. Because for the life of me, maybe I'm one of these deranged lunatics. I just don't understand why anyone would want to own it. For starters, the financial cost. Pets are expensive not only to maintain, but to purchase. The startup costs for certain purebreds or exotic animals can be astronomical. And I'm not just talking about the animal itself, but I'm also talking about all of the equipment to get for it. A bed or a terrarium or food or anything else. The pet food's another thing. That's expensive as all hell. Pet grooming as well. If you have an animal that doesn't self-groom, that requires, a significant amount of money as well, especially if you don't know how to do it yourself. Not as well let's say this really more so applies to dogs, but if you're lazy and you don't really want to train it, then obedience school and training is also quite expensive, because those trainers will charge an arm and a leg. The veterinarian, stupidly expensive. You're talking thousands of dollars for shots, for surgeries, for, pet chemo, everything like that. Those guys, that's a true, I wouldn't say it's a scam, because obviously it's needed, but wow, it's astronomical when I look at some veterinarian bills. And then pet insurance. The fact that there is now a market for pet insurance, really, to me, I don't get it. I get the perception that it's a relatively recent phenomenon, that people are now actually buying pet insurance, not just to cover for the medical costs and whatever else, but also to, I think there's also like pet life insurance or something like that. I could be wrong on that. And then, of course, that's just the financial aspect. Then there's the concept of puppy leave instead of, maternity or paternity leave, where you have to take time off to socialize your new animal and to train it. I don't really know how that works out. And I wouldn't want to equate it with parental leave either, because, honestly, it's, to me, it just doesn't make it. You can't equate the two. Although I know some people do equate the two. They want to be fur parents to a fur baby, which is something, again, perhaps I'm a deranged lunatic, but I can't understand for the life of me. Not only is the financial aspect a major sticking point for me as to why I can't understand it, but also the going into the whole puppy leave and taking care of the animal, if you will. Not properly taking care of the animal is animal abuse. I don't think anybody is disputing that. But even leaving it at home alone is terrible. I had a fish. I thought, my God, the poor thing, it's all alone in its aquarium or whatever the hell they call it. And I just thought to myself, why do I have this? I'm leaving the poor thing alone. I feed it, everything like that. It makes no sense for me to have this fish. Birds as well. You have to put the thing in the cage, otherwise it's going to fly all over the shop and, for lack of a better word, shit everywhere. get into your food. Same thing with your reptiles. They could scurry off somewhere, get lost. You have to keep them in a terrarium. Rats and mice, you're going to really let that go run around your home. Same thing with dogs. Cats, I guess, are the exception. But I mean, even still, it makes no sense. Why would you, why would you keep them in a cage? Makes no sense to me in any event. And then we get to purebred pets, which is something for me is a big sticking point for me. Purebred pets, going back to the quality of life, is you put them more at risk for hereditary disease, which can shorten their lifespan. It can actually also diminish their quality of life. Animal abuse, in my opinion. Why would you ever want to contribute to the diminishing quality of life for another living being just because of your own vanity? Because that's what it seems like to me. It seems that people have pets, yet again, like they travel. It's not to learn another culture, and I'll get to companionship in a bit. But it seems to me anyway that people have a pet again to flex, to say, and also we bring ourselves to another point. Because there's now such a huge market for pets, and it's seen as a fashionable thing to do, many people want it I get the impression that many people just want it for the look, and they don't know how to properly take care of the pet. And when they realize that they've bit off more than they can chew, they send the animal to a shelter. Now, the amount of animals in shelters right now is an absolute travesty. Although the shelter is better than the alternative, which is for them to just be cruelly abandoned onto the street or the side of the road, like so many pets are. Thrown out of a car or left on the side of the road, released without any care of the world. That to me is just, that's not cool. It's animal abuse. Let's consider it this. And I do want to preface this by saying I'm not some sort of animal rights activist. I eat meat, dairy products, everything like that. I love eating animal products as well. I'll never not stop eating them. And I like, having leather seats in my car, everything like that. So this may come across as a little bit hypocritical when I talk about quote-unquote animal abuse, but I think that the animal should be treated with respect. And if you're going to, kill the animal for the food, you should at least use all of it. You shouldn't waste anything. So also another thing why I don't understand trophy hunting, but we can cover that in another episode. Going back to the shelters, the amount of people who bite off more than they can chew and just give up the animal and abandon it, fortunately, it's either going to, for lack of a better word, die, or end up in the shelter, where in some rare cases, it gets adopted or fostered, but the vast majority of them get euthanized. This is a common fate for animals who end up in the shelter. And that just doesn't sit well with me. And it's another reason why I can't understand why anybody would want to contribute to this industry. Perhaps the biggest one for me is the argument for companionship. I've spoken to people who have pets, and they say, "Oh, well, it's nice to have. It's nice for companionship, something around the house, so that I don't feel so alone." I don't really understand that argument, because especially if you have a significant other, or if you're close with your friends or with your family, do you really need a pet? This is what I don't get. I think it points to some sort of superiority / a god complex. You want this animal, you want this animal to look at you, to be the be-all, the end-all, the provider. And in my opinion, pets hijack the biological drive to raise and nurture children. And I mean, you see this a lot where people are throwing birthday parties for their dogs, where they're, just posting it all over their pets all over Instagram, and, calling it, "Oh, it's my kid, it's my baby," everything like that. It's a fur baby, I'm a fur parent. It's a little creepy in my opinion, but I also just don't understand it. It's almost as though it's like, okay, you're taking all of this, this biological drive, because life, obviously the purpose of life is to create more of it. So we have this built-in drive within us to create more life. And it's been instead of focusing it on, let's say, a kid, you're putting it onto an animal. And I don't know, it doesn't quite, I can't quite understand why anybody would do that. And that's why I'm making this video, because I'm completely at a loss. These are my impressions as the whole culture around pets. I don't get it. And in the end, to me, honestly, it still points to a flex. It's fashionable. It's a status symbol. Except for me, considering the points that I've listed above, it's much, much more sinister than that. But in any event, I turn the question on to you. Do you own pets? If so, what kind of pets do you have? And a better question perhaps may be, why did you get the pet? If it's for companionship, please explain to me, what sort of companionship can a pet give you that a human cannot? Because I'm very, very interested to know. And again, like I said, maybe I'm one of these deranged lunatics that just that doesn't understand it. So please help me understand. Drop a like on the video, comment down below, and as always, thank you so much for watching.